Folks, welcome back to Nostalgianomics. You read the title right. I am going to be selling off my entire Pokemon collection. All of my boxes and cases, all of my slabs and binder collections, everything's going, and I'm going to be stepping away from the hobby. And the reason is, no, come on, I'm not going anywhere. Got you to click though, right? Today, I am going to be answering the question by popular demand, when do I sell my modern booster boxes? I get asked this question all the time. I'm finally going to address it now. I'm also going to address all the comments I get like, Alex, what about the taxes? What about the fees? What about the shipping? Oh, I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that too. Now, I'm sure you've heard all different types of opinions out there like, well, you should never sell. You should hold your collection until you get in the grave. That's what a true collector would do. You probably also heard, well, you shouldn't sell your collection unless you absolutely have to because of some kind of financial hardship. You got to pay the bills, right? Then it's okay to sell. And then other people will still be like, well, once you double your money or once you triple your money, that's when you should sell. I don't really buy into any of those theories. What I do, I actually look at market research. I do market analysis. I look at the price points and how the customers interact with those price points. And that's where I come up with my idea of where to sell my sealed investments and move the money into other areas or other sealed investments. Because remember, there's always an opportunity cost to holding anything. So you always want to make sure you're best positioned in your investments to make the best possible gains moving forward. Now, you're never always going to get it right. You're never going to catch the bottoms when you buy. You're never going to catch the tops when you sell. But there are things you can do to make the most knowledgeable, the most educated moves, and that's what we're going to get into today. And like I said, lastly, I'll get into the whole taxes, fees, shipping, all that good stuff. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to run through every X, Y, and Sun and Moon set. I have all of the sold listings pulled up of the most recent sold, and we can look at exactly what the market price is for everything. And then I have them all broken down in a spreadsheet, and we can actually go through that and see what we can derive from that data. So stick with me. Let's go through this. XY base set, 1075. Flash Fire, 3000. Furious Fist, 900. Phantom Forces, 1875. Primal Clash, 460. Roaring Skies, 500. Ancient Origins, 850. Breakthrough, 550. Breakpoint, 430. Fates Collide, 380. Steam Siege, 350. Evolutions, 720. Moving on to Sun and Moon. Sun and Moon base, 300. Guardians Rising, 318. Burning Shadows, 350s, 360s. Crimson Invasion, 178. That's low. Ultra Prism, 400. Forbidden Light, 350. Celestial Storm, 550. Lost Origin, 400. Team Up, 1790. Now, there's some for sale less than this. They're selling between 14 and 1800, depending on where you look. So I took an average. It's completely out of control, but that's a real sale. So I don't know. Unbroken Bonds, 500. Unified Minds, 430. And last but not least, Cosmic Eclipse has eclipsed $700. What does all this data mean? Let's take a look. All right. So if you look here, there's a bunch of different colors going on. The yellow is for the first 4 sets of XY. I do not usually include those sets in my analysis of how Modern performs. I'll tell you why. Those sets are going to be a lot more like Black and White, or the kind of the pre-Pokemon, the new age Pokemon era. Those sets were released in 2014. They had so much less supply than everything printed afterwards. The popularity wasn't there, and then when the popularity came back, people were buying everything up and it pushed those prices higher. They never got reprints. And so I don't think those are really indicative of how sets are going to perform in the future. But you can do your own, whatever you want to do for yourself and your own analysis and whatever metrics you want to use. I usually don't use those first 4 sets. Now, all of the green boxes are all of the outliers above, and the red box is the outlier below. And they were asking yourself, above or below what? Look at every other set in the white. Primal Clash, Roaring Skies, Breakthrough, Breakpoint, Fates Collide, Steam Siege, Sun and Moon base, Guardians Rising, Burning Shadows, Ultra Prism, Forbidden Light, Celestial Storm, Lost Thunder, Unbroken Bonds, Unified Minds. You see what all those sets have in common? They're all between $300 and $600 a box. That's the price range they have settled in. What does that mean? I don't know. I don't know why the market does what the market does. That's above my pay grade. I'm not smart enough. What I do know is for some reason, that's where the customers even get wallet fatigue. They may, see other options out there at those prices that they see fit to move their money in besides those. Um, there's a plethora of reasons we could go through. But for one reason or another, that's where the market usually settles. Okay? Now, Ancient Origins, we can talk about that. That was in the same era as like Primal Clash Roaring Skies. That was right kind of when the boom was starting, and it never got a reprint the way these two sets did. If these two sets didn't get the reprint they did, they'd probably be in the thousands. I mean, these got knocked all the way down to $70 a box, and they still recovered to almost 500 each. Okay? So that's kind of the reason for that outlier. Evolutions, the biggest stonk set in history. It was printed to oblivion, into the ground. It still raised over 1,000 a box at one point. It's a different animal. Crimson Invasion is low because it's the worst set in the past 3 eras, probably in the past 10 years. So that's why that's low. Team Up, I couldn't tell you. I mean, obviously it was short printed, but it's just taken on a life of its own. I think there's a lot of buyouts, a lot of manipulation happening, but that's just my opinion. Team Up's in a different world, different stratosphere. And then Cosmic Eclipse, it's a great set. It just eclipsed that 700. It was really around 600s for the longest time. So, it's barely out of that bracket, but basically, it's in that same range. So what you're looking at is about 90% of the sets fall in that 300 to 600 range. That's the range that I would look at to move out of products in the future. Now, do I think these are not going to continue to rise over time? No, of course not. I think they're gonna probably all be over $1,000 a box in the next 10, 15 years. That's my opinion. I can't guarantee that. That's what I think. But here's the thing. If a box goes from 1 to 500 in the first 5 years, and then in the next 5 or 10 years it only goes from 500 to 1,000, is that still a good investment? Think about it. That's the opportunity cost of holding it as opposed to selling and using those funds to buy the new set or a better investment, right? Because 1 to 500 in the first 5 years, it's a 500% gain. Awesome, that's amazing. But then if you continue to hold for the next 5 and it only goes up maybe 100%, it's still great, 20% a year. And then when you look at it over the course of the whole time it's been out, the whole 10 years, the numbers still look great. But it always pays to go through and audit your collection, your investment. And so really, if you would have audited your investment at 500 and said, you know what, I think it'd be better to take this $500 and maybe add another 100 to it and buy a whole case of the new sets and let those go through their intense growth cycle in that 1 to 5 years. Because we've seen that kind of that intense growth in modern sealed is that first 1 to 5 years, and after that it's kind of steady growth. And so that could be a better option than continue to let your money sit in one place and just see steady growth over time. Now, some people don't want to do that work. They're okay with the steady growth. They're not always trying to catch the biggest and most hyped thing, and that's fine. But these numbers kind of give you an idea of where you want to take your investing strategy. Me, I like to constantly move in and out. So I'm not quite like a flipper. I don't buy, sell, but every 2 to 5 years, sometimes 2 to 7 years maybe, I do look to sell those boxes and move those funds into the newer sets where I know I can make a higher amount of gain in the same time period, right? And so that's what I look for. These are the metrics I use. I hope it helps. Now, the second part of this video. Alex, talk about the taxes, talk about the fees, talk about the shipping. You're being disingenuous. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I cannot tell anyone what it's going to cost them because I don't know how they sell. Me personally, I've sold every which way on this board. I've sold every single one of these ways. And I don't know how you sell, so I can't tell you what it's going to cost you. So all I can do, I can show the options, I can tell you the pros and cons, and you can make the decision for yourself. Fair? As far as taxes go, all right? I'm not a tax advisor. I'm not a tax professional. But if you're serious about collecting and investing and you set up a collectible business the right way, there's always going to be write-offs, right? Do you drive your car to drop off the packages to pick up, product? There's a write-off. I mean, do you use your cell phone for your company? Do you use your computer? Do you use your internet? There's write-offs. Do you use a room of your house to do your sourcing and your office work? Do you use a room of your house to store your products? Those are write-offs, right? Those all come right off those profits that you made, which lower your tax bill, right? In some cases, you can eliminate it. So I don't know exactly, what you're playing with, what kind of, setup you have. So I can't give you any advice on your taxes. All right. As far as buying, when you pay taxes, I've always lived in the tax-free state until now. So now I had to go out and get a tax-exempt form, where what happens is when you buy the products, you don't pay taxes. Okay, it actually pushes the taxes onto the final user. So you're a middleman, right? You're buying to sell in the future. So you can always set up something like that. But the tax game is something you need to go over with a tax professional. I can't answer that. That's why I don't get into taxes. But when everyone puts in the comments or they talk about you're going to pay 20-something% taxes, I'll tell you what, if you set your business up right, I don't think you're going to be paying 20% taxes. That's all I'm going to say there. Next, let's go through all the fees and shipping and all the options of how to sell. First up is going to be selling on eBay or TCG Player. All right, great. Those are the biggest ways. The pros are going to be you're going to have the widest customer base, right? That's where all the customers are going to be. It's just pack and ship, right? You don't have to deal with anyone in person. You don't got to do a lot of interaction. Sometimes people message you. Most of the time they don't. And really, someone just buys your item, you pack and ship it, your job's done. Lastly, sometimes you're going to see higher sale prices on these sites other than like in person or some of the other, avenues. And so you might get higher sale prices, okay? Now, the cons. Fraud, scam, everyone's getting scammed. Guys, I've been on eBay for 10 years. I've never got scammed. Not once. I've sold on TCG Player now for years. Never got scammed. Facebook, groups, in person. I've never been scammed. So I don't know where all these scams are happening. What I'm going to tell you is be honest, all right? I've always had 100% positive feedback on my eBay account because I'm honest. Show every picture. Show every angle. If there's a problem with the card or with the case or with the box, show every angle and show the actual imperfections so the customer knows what they're buying. In the description, be detailed. List out the description. Let them know anything that's wrong with it. Let them know exactly what they are purchasing. That's going to eliminate a lot of your problems right then and there. Second off, you might want to be selective. If you see someone with no feedback or low feedback, question them. Go kind of go through the ringer with them and see if you really want to sell it. I've canceled orders before when I felt it looked like a scam, right? You can do that. You're a seller. You have that option, but you can take different steps to make sure you don't get scammed on those platforms. I never have been. I know others have, but it's very rare. eBay TCG Player fees. Oh my gosh, you use their business, you use their platform, you got to pay them? Yeah, you got to pay them. It's usually around 13.5% for the listing and the payment processing fees. That's what it costs. If you use these platforms, that's what you're going to be out. All right. Shipping cost, again, different for everyone. Do you use USPS? Do you use UPS? Do you use FedEx? Do you go through eBay or like PayPal shipping? Do you get better rates? I don't know, right? I don't know. Where do you live in the country? Where are you shipping to? I don't know. I can't talk to those things. That's why I can't give an idea of what it's going to cost someone when they sell. On average, let's say around 15% all in is what it's going to cost with fees and shipping on eBay or TCG Player. All right. Now, option 2, Facebook Marketplace. You can ship it or meet in person, depending on who you sell to. There's less competition and there's no fees. As far as I know, there's still no fees on Facebook Marketplace. Now, there's less fraud, but I guess there's still some fraud or scams. Again, I've never had it happen, but I'm sure it's out there. It's online selling. It's always going to be there in some way or another. It could have shipping costs if you ship it. It might not. It could have payment processing fees if they pay through PayPal or someone that charges. It might not. If you meet in person, they pay cash, or if you go through Venmo or something else, you might not have fees. So it could go either way. But yeah, you are going to have a smaller customer base. So as far as Facebook goes, it could be 0 fees and 0 shipping. It could have some shipping and some fees, but it'll be less than eBay or TCG Player, but you'll have a smaller customer base. So that kind of gives you an idea there. Now, Facebook Discord groups. Again, you can ship or meet in person depending on where you live. Less competition, no fees. Also, I didn't put it on here, but you might have a little better relationship with who you sell to. You might have chatted with them a little while. You might have even video chatted with them. There might be more trust there, so you have a less chance of getting scammed or having fraud. But again, it still happens. It's online. It can still happen. Could have shipping costs if you ship it. Could have payment processing fees if you use one of those processors. It might not have any fees. It might not have any shipping if you're in person. All right. Again, it's going to have a smaller customer base too. Last option is going to be in-person events. You got your card shows. You got your collecticons at your local card shop. Any meetups. That's where you can sell in person. Now, no fees, no shipping, no chance of fraud. You're going to have a smaller customer base, and you may have You may have fees. I put no fees here, but sometimes when people meet in person, they still want to pay through PayPal for some reason or something, where you'll still occur some type of small fee. But if you pay cash, if you do a direct transfer or something like that, there's no fees. And so this is what I'm talking about. Depending on how you choose to sell your collectibles, you may have no costs associated with it. You may have 15% costs. You may have 3%. You may have 10%. I don't know. I don't know. You know, you may pay taxes, you may not. You may pay some, you may pay. It all depends on how you set up your business and where you sell. And so I hope this clears up all that, kind of clears the air. That's why I don't talk about these things in the videos where I talk about the percent gains and products, because I don't know how you're going to sell. I don't know how you structure things. So I hope that helped. I also hope this helps, this whole price range on where boxes seem to fall. Hope it gives you a better idea of, when you might think to sell your stuff. Some of you might choose just to hold forever too. That's fine too. We can all do different stuff and be happy with each other. Other than that, if you got any more questions, feel free to reach out. Leave a comment in the comment section. I'll be sure to answer it. Other than that, I will be back here in a new video soon. If you're not subscribed to the channel, consider subscribing. I'm out.